team. There's a bit of a Cinderella story there. They went to relegation last year. They came out of it. They qualified through open qualifiers to get here to the Invitational. They've had great performances ever since. They've brought new players in. It's a real story behind Furia, and well, it's two of our favourites facing off, Des.
It is. You were saying to me before the whole thing started, Furia are going to capture some hearts. If you're a neutral, they will be the fan favourite. But Cloud9, I think APAC has captured the hearts of many recently. And one thing I do want to touch on that the boys talked about on the desk, they said, actually the aggressive region is Cloud9. And you know what? I'd agree with you. APAC attack was a hashtag for a good while about this region. They know how to be aggressive, but it's going to be Cloud9 starting on the defence. So let's see if we get some Invitational roams on the go, or if Furia, specifically Fantasy, can take good control of those roamers, shut them down, and take the advantage in the first half.
Well, certainly one to watch out for, Des. He's had a great tournament so far. We've seen some absolutely nutty kills coming in from Fantasy so far. His gun skill is absolutely off the chart. So it is another thing to watch out for everybody at home. Now, the bans do rein in. Thatcher, Hibana, Mira, and Mozzie. Okay, interesting Cloud9 ban coming in there on the Mozzie. Des just wanting to take away. The thing is, Mozzie's a very powerful operator, and he's particularly useful at times here on Consulate. He's not only taking drones, he's denying information. That's the particularly important thing. If you can get it and use it, and farm that information for the defenders, then yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. But the most important thing is taking it away from the attackers. But heading into round number 1, I'm just having a quick look over Furia's Consulate stats from the regular stage 1. Played it twice, won it twice. We obviously also saw them beat G2, as we've discussed already. So a good map for Furia. And on the attack, Des, particularly good in Garage, Cafeteria and Console Meeting. So top floor and basement, they have, through the regular stage at least against the other LATAM teams, 100% win rate.
I do think that Mozzie ban is a bit of a nod somewhat towards what can be achieved by Invitational. Interesting that they chose to ban it away, to be fair, because he would play it an awful lot last season. The last few games has gone towards playing things like the Mute, and maybe here with the Aruni stepping in, since that's what's being brought along here, they're saying, look, we're realistically not going to play the Mozzie. We don't want to deal with that information blackout, therefore let's get it off the board entirely. And the mirror ban by Furia, more targeted towards Nova, who has played it in a good few of their recent defenses. However, first round we are on the downstairs. We're seeing the Kai being brought along. You got the Aruni in place. These boys love Valkyries. We saw out of them earlier on today as well. So between them, quite a bit of play here in terms of denial being set up, but also making sure they're not starved of that information that a Mozzie drone, once it's been stolen, for example, would be of use to you for.
Well, we're potentially, looking at those bans, got a recipe for, I'd say disaster, Des, but for us it's just a recipe for excitement. Valkyrie's available, Nomad is available, there's a bit of 50-50 there. We can get the cams out, we can get that sort of interest, that potential for a run out, but then you've got the air jabs to contend with as well, so it's always an interesting little trade-off whether it is worth the risk or not. I mean, we saw a big play from Joystick going out of a window earlier against Dark Zero.
How on earth you laser beam someone? The length of the building with an SMG is beyond me, but he did it.
Well, I think Skies will be feeling that one for a day or two, but some players there is just very little you can do against when they are on their day. But looking back to the action at hand, we are 50 seconds in, no opening kill just yet. Cloud9 looking pretty happy to hold their angles for the time being. We've got Malusi over there in admin, but it's looking like a completely stacked up yellow stairs push to come in from Furia.
Exactly that. They had a couple of members lurking out there in case there was a late entry into admin, but it's absolutely not the case. It is going to be this attack onto the yellow stairs, and given they now have some control here, of course no massive top floor hold coming out of Cloud9 given they're defending on the downstairs. That may change into future rounds. Furia are just not going to make the same mistakes that we saw out of Empire in their game earlier on, where you're not worrying about top floor and you're being flanked later into the round, and you're basically fighting on two fronts. One looking towards the site and one for those coming from above. So doing the right thing and making sure the map is clear. I'm not quite sure where Charles gone at this point. Admittedly, haven't been tracking him too much. He's downstairs now as well, so isn't going to be lurking around upstairs anymore on the top floor. Instead, that is giving over towards Invitational, who's skirting around like a little rat here and might do some damage if left unchecked.
could be a problem for FURIA here. They've completely ignored the admin and Visa side of the map, and as you say, we are down in basement. You can go route 1 in through that garage door, but you need to be careful of the roamers. That much is true, especially if you're going to try and get in like Highs has and work in Piano, because he's going to be absolutely ripe for the picking if those roamers come back down and work their way across the map, as Shiol has done, but shut down by Highs. A good call coming in from Fantasy there after losing his life around the vending machine. That leaves us 4 versus 4. 45 seconds left to go, but lots of work for FURIA to do yet.
That's one being thrown up by Charles as well, just to step in and contest and remind them that there is going to be some aggression coming out of this Cloud9 team. You've got to worry about when the likes of Invitational are going to strike as well. Where are they going to appear? Because I can still see someone hanging around upon this ground floor. In fact, he's on the top floor here, so he's not done with this roam play, but I need to see him strike now. There's 20 seconds to go. Your impact must be felt now. In fact, he's beelining it back down to site, given it taken quite a bit of damage there. Lucky to be alive.
Rare looking to get himself inside through the breach here, but he needs sufficient cover. He's got a man on yellow stairs, which is a great start. Harper looking to push in through that smoke grenade, but will be shut down. The kills rain in, Des. It's the Brazilian boys who are shutting down Cloud9. 4 versus 1. Diffuser down and activated. Invitational on a breath of health, shut down by Rare, and that's going to be FURIA taking round number 1.
Yeah, FURIA showing some fury at the bitter end there. 3 kills flying through in rapid succession. A little bit of a strong play coming out of the Kite. I think to go pushing through a smoke. Many FPS games will tell you that is never going to be a good idea, but at the very least, appreciate the attempt. And for a second, I thought we might see Invitational get the spray down come through. He had the pings coming in from his team, I assume from the Valkyrie. That could have been disastrous if he got the spray down and won the round for his team against FURIA. But either way, they walk away with round number 1. A good yet slow execute paying off dividends. And Ace, another entry kill first coming out for Cloud9.
Certainly true.
Plus 26.
Another round not being closed down.
Yes,
that is the more important factor they need to be capitalising. I mean, to put that into perspective for you, Des, when we look over Siege as a whole, generally you're looking at about a 65 to 70% average. So when a team gets the opening kill, how often do they go on and win that round? It's fair to say it's about 2 out of 3 times.
Yeah.
They will go on and win that round. And Cloud9 are really struggling on that front, and that is just making your own life difficult. So let's keep an eye on it. We'll see how they go as this continues. The big question as well is, what can FURIA do? Because it doesn't matter too much. If FURIA come in and get those opening kills and lose the rounds as well, then you know what? It swings and roundabouts. But if FURIA can come in and get that man advantage and lock it down, then that's going to put Cloud9 on a big back foot. But right now, we are in round number 2, heading up to the top floor this time around. And Des, I don't want to give you some bad news, but for Cloud9, this is generally a worse sight for them defensively than Garage and Cafeteria. They could be struggling after the first few.
Well, I feel after my previous work in the Nordic Championship that I'm contractually obliged to say this. The Rook and the Dock together is what a well-known caster in Norway called Snurreleif calls the Duck combo. Lots of teams in Norway, well not in Norway, sorry, just in the Nordics in general, absolutely loved rolling this combo on this map for a while. I remember stepping in and saying, what's this all about? Why are we seeing so much of that? He's like, oh, it's the Duck combo. I was like, what the hell is the Duck combo? It's the 2 playing together, 2 big chonky boys sat there, both with armor plates, both at the 3 armor point, both got the stims they can play off the Dock. They can be an absolute nightmare to unseat when you put them in the right place. On keeping a close eye on them. Harper already down to about half, should get himself juiced up and not too long away. There we go. One comes flying through. You'd hope to be able to get something back onto FURIA, but not a scratch taken by the LATAM side here as they push their way in towards admin and start trying to take more control of the map.
Absolutely not. Great start to round 2 from FURIA here. Boots on the ground quickly inside of admin, looking to move across that east side over to the site. They've managed to get Highs established inside of admin, and you saw him opening up a line of sight there, and that hole that he opened up in the soft wall inside of admin is actually above the Visa stairs, and what it does is it gives an awfully long line of sight to those attackers who generally have the higher magnification scopes through the meeting door, and it just cuts off a significant portion of that meeting room A site. And now it just starts to add up. It starts to become a problem. The next step here for FURIA is they're going to try and get control over long desk, and then they can think about breaching the wall sometimes, sometimes not, but it's all about forcing Nova out of his power position inside of meeting here. But the opening kill, Des, it has come in and it has gone to highs. Rare's going to be shut down. That's the hard breach gone. That could be a blow for FURIA, but this is still possible without.
He is so dug in here with all the gadgets that he's got scattered around in the shields, the ADSs, everything is set up, and he's got the support from the longer desk out towards the front from Harper at the same time to make sure no one can push him from behind, so it's one less angle to worry about. He's just got to worry about the doorway to his left at the top of Visa stairs and anyone playing outside of the meeting windows. And given he's dug in behind the shield here, as long as those ADSs are still ticking, of which now I believe they are not, they have been removed, he's in a pretty precarious situation. But so are FURIA. 4 versus 4, 20 seconds to play, 2 out on the meeting balcony. You've got to make a play here and now, boys, otherwise you might find it running away from you. Down to about 10 HP, a bit of a long-range spray onto Envy, but they're still walking. Envy gets one back, finally put down. We're looking at a 3 versus 3 team with 10 seconds to go. Nova finally down. Lender, he's in the back corner. Diffuser going on the ground. Can anyone step round and contest him? I'm thinking not, because Highs has got the longer angle. It's all down to Harper. He sees the spray, but he misses! How do you miss that one? He gets the headshot anyway. One swinging up to the far side. I think he wants to play for the Reds here onto Envy to give themselves something to play with. Miracle likely not going to get rezzed. Highs, he got the entry. He's got to get the final 2 to get this over the finish line, but he's got a massive advantage, in that the diffuser is on the ground. 15 seconds for Envy and Harper to make something happen. They've got to stick the diffuse and contest at the same time. That's going to be the warning sign. He looks the wrong way. It's a triple kill. One's got to be found out here by Harper, otherwise this round is done. He's got 3 seconds. He's gone for the diffuse. What are you doing, buddy? You've given it away. Highs has done it all. He's going to get round number 2 for FURIA.
Well, it certainly looked like it wasn't going to go that way. Des Nova was in such a power position for so long in that round, and then he just got turned on his heel at the critical moment. He had to turn his back. The pressure came in from every angle, and he was shut down. It was a shame because he'd really controlled the round for Cloud9 up to that point, just completely denying access into meeting. Don't, Des, don't.
Don't look.
It's too painful for you to watch, but FURIA, you've got to give it to them. They got that plant down in the absolute nick of time, and then Highs played it cool. But not only that, a great decision not to res Miracle. Just left him out of it, kept himself alive. Miracle played it beautifully. You saw it happen. He was a live drone. Invitational comes across the front of him, confirms the kill, but it's too late because he says to Highs, he's there, pre-fire. Bang, job done.
Can we start calling it the Canto now, where you're down and you're just like, don't get me up, I'm the drone for you, don't worry, I'll feed you some information. Because it was beautiful, because like you say, the moment Miracle got killed by Envy, they knew exactly where Envy was, it orchestrated where he was pushing through, and it was the easiest step out to the side and the spray down, off you go off the back of it. Fraser, Adore, Des and Ace, Dream Duo live on SI. Correct, we are live. I'm very glad that you spotted that, Fat Mate, and we're live with a fantastic game. Those first couple of rounds, really interesting. FURIA with the late round flourish. You look at Harper and have to ask the question. That is one of the most default plant spots that we know. He knew where he was and still must have drawn a perfect outline around him like it was a crime scene with tape rather than bullets. Those should have hit the guy going for the plant there, but he whiffed them at the most crucial time to land those key shots. Well played by Highs to drag it over the line, but again, we'll be asking questions.
He certainly will, and I think, I think there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 players waking up in cold sweats thinking about that round, depending how this match ends up. But right now, FURIA have come out fighting, Des. They've come out strong, and once again, they are impressing us inside of the 6th Invitational, showing a great mastery here on Consulate so far, and getting to what could be 2 difficult rounds over the line, showing that they are not just a team that wins when they have the advantage or are ahead.
I think we should talk about this combo we're seeing coming out, I think, Ace, as well. Chanka did get that buff recently, now you think about it, where they had the small change to the duration of the fire, the radius of the fire, paired up with the smoke. Many were saying when we first saw the 2 of them, you could waste the whole 60 seconds on pushing into a site here, and no one's really made that work. Others said maybe he steps in and he's an alternative for smoke. Well, Cloud9 are chancing using both of them alongside one another here, playing for these stall tactics, and probably looking towards some intel being fed by the Maestro to help them know where the push is coming from. Where's that utility got to go down? Where have we got to waste time? Where can we force them to make mistakes? Another entry coming out for Cloud9. Fantasy, he was the man you were hyping up. 0-3 so far, Ace. face.
He's only been quiet, but he's one of those players, Des, just like Alamo against G2. Do not count him out. We might just see later in this game that Fantasy has a huge impact. But for the time being, Cloud9 take that opening kill, take their foot off the gas a little bit. They're not over-aggressing. They're not chasing a second, third, fourth kill here. They're not giving lives away. So let's see whether they can turn this round on its head and put it in the bag for the first one for themselves. Now, interestingly, I just really want to quickly touch on that Tachanka and what I think the effort is going to be. And what we're seeing is, Des, that he's being used as denial for that diffuser going down. So where you would normally try and put a toxic babe canister into that plant spot, what has been figured out is that with those Tachanka explosive shells, you can bounce them off something. So if there's a wall nearby, you can fire them at that wall and bounce it back onto that default plant spot. And then the fire erupts and it can potentially stop it going down. We've not seen it used too many times, but I think that's the angle that they are looking to use it here.
Looking to become a bit of a pinball wizard, I think, is the way to look at it. They can bounce those around the sites correctly and get them to land exactly where they needed. I think the early roam coming out from Envy has slowed Furia down a bit because you could see the drones singing around the ground floor.
Oh!
Looking a little bit close to killing oneself there, Highs, but fortunately staying alive. Nova firing out the first of these, I believe they're called Shumika launchers or Shumika launchers, something along those lines. I forget the name, to be completely honest with you, but should be in a spot where they can deny things out. Lay it over with the smoke, not really ideal, but given Furia have been quite slow, there's 15 seconds left. There's a smoke left and 5 of these still to play with.
Perfect example of what I was saying there, just fired up against that concrete balustrade that runs across the top of the garage breach, drop it back down into that plant spot. But what have Furia done? They've just run through it instead, Des, and with 1 second left on the clock, Rare starts to get it down, but no! Nova steps in, says, you know what? I can't use the Tachanka explosive canisters to stop you. I'll just use his rifle.
He used his rifle after an Evil Eye was blasting him for a solid 5 seconds as well. 5 HP per shot. 20 of those and you'll be down, and that's what you have in the full clip of an Evil Eye, enough to put him down for 1 bullet to come singing through, which I imagine was through the wall. Still, I don't believe there was a full rotation there, but enough to put him in the dirt. Nice attempt. Fair play to Furia. They did kind of work around it, but it gets Cloud9 on the board. So far, all we can say is that all 3 of these rounds have come down to the dying seconds. The timer literally reads 0, 0, 0. It turns red. It's spicy, Ace, and this is what we wanted from a game like this.
Highs sat on 6-0 at the minute, reaching highs that nobody can touch at this point in time. Furia 2-1, I'm pretty sure they're going to be happy with that off the initial rotation of 3 sites. They're going to do the same again now. Cloud9 have got another 3 defensive rounds to come before the sides switch, and Furia, they're going to look to just basically lock out exactly the same as they have just done. If they can finish this half on 4-2 going into their defense, I think that they will be pretty happy with that, because Furia are a very good archives and tellers site. They could come here thinking, you know what, we can lock in a couple of rounds there. That puts us on 6 overall. They only have to find 1 other successful defense. So I'm pretty certain they're going to be good with a 4-2 half, but they have to get there yet. Now we've got Static on the Valkyrie this time. He's just applied one of those black eye cameras into visors, so looking to just prevent that lateral push. We're going to have one going out externally here, and these are some of the cams that I absolutely love. The external cams on Consulate, you can cover off about 70% of the outside of the map quite easily with a few well-placed cams, and they really are tasty.
You might love the cams, but I guarantee you the teams hate these observers every time they show where they're placed as well, because they're like, damn man, I can't use that one. Now, jokes aside, a lot of these are very common. Envy trying to make some magic happen, even without the Nomad present from Miracle. Still, Highs turns round, flicks onto Meeting and finds the kill. Comfortable. Dare Harper try and repeat the same? I imagine not. And at this point, Highs is now inside of admin, so less to worry about. Furia are in Ace. What can they do with it?
Valkyrie cams just causing a bit of overconfidence possibly there. Highs gets Harper with the headshot. 2 for him in the round, 8-0 now. He is an unstoppable force, Des, and Cloud9 are certainly not an immovable object so far here on Consulate. They are being ragged around by Furia here in round number 4 as we find ourselves 4 versus 2 and map control largely in the hands of Furia right now. Static, he is like the cliff face in front of the oncoming tide, just trying to hold them out of Visa, but the vertical pressure is going to start getting applied very, very soon, and Furia, there's no rush for them here, Des. 1 minute 35 left on the clock. They just need to go in and find their kills, but Shyle, he's going to start the fight back. He's going to dig the heels in and get a kill onto Fantasy.
Made the right call as well. Get the kill, pull back, don't try and press on here. Be glad with what you've got. Let things lie for a second. Let Static feed you some more information around what's going on, because they're still looking to unseat him, I believe. Out of sight down here. Not out of sight, sorry. Out of the room downstairs. It's the second one. Shyle, the player that we spoke about in stage 1 was quiet, that needed to show up at SI, is starting to do just that. He takes the longer shots, misses the head of Miracle by a slither. That Nomad air jab being eaten up by the ADS is not going to connect, which shouldn't make them too safe in here. It's going to be another one. Are they pulling it back for the 2 versus 4? Because it damn well feels like it. Miracle on the push round. 2 remaining, and I don't see a world here in which he can pull this off unless he takes 2 separate 1v1s. The shield is there. Oh! Shyle! How do you mess that one up, buddy? 1 versus 1. Plants going down. 40 seconds to play. Static. My God, have you got to go big? He comes off. The spray comes through. He's got 25 HP. He cannot miss a beat. He's got to connect every shot into Static here to close the round out. Static knows he's going down. He's got the play coming in. Oh! He steps up, but it's a triple kill in the round. It was going to be a miracle, but no. Static, the naysayer from hell, steps in and makes it 2-2.
He was a little bit too static after he got that final kill. I was worried that he'd forgotten in all the excitement that he needed to disable that diffuser. Stranger things have happened, but what a play from Cloud9. 2 versus 4, and they dragged that one back from the brink, Des. They were on the edge of being even further behind, but great plays. Shyle doing it all in the mid-round there, coming through and getting big kill after big kill to level things up. His job was done by the time he died. This was a beautiful look at the flick. Oh. That was a miracle. When you're beating a man from behind a deployable shield on a flick onto the head like that. What a beautiful kill. Des, this is an absolute exhibition of Siege so far.
That's 4 rounds in the bounce, where we've come down to the 0 seconds left on the regular timer, and we're starting to step into the diffuser being down, or extra time, or whatever it might be, the post plants. It is what we all wanted to see out of these 2 teams. Again, start of the day, you'd have probably put it down and said, oh, well, FURIA just looked better than Cloud9. Cloud9 not really delivering so far unless they were against Cyclops. Well, now sitting at 2-3, and if they win this game, would be at 3-3. What a turnaround that would be. And you and I sat here after G2's game earlier where they beat Cyclops and said, they got nothing to worry about now, realistically. Cyclops aren't going to come back. But Cyclops have gone on to win a game. Cloud9 have done a game. They've done the double over the LATAM teams. There is so much to be excited about for this region that I don't think it's all good calling the end of groups just yet, because they could cause some massive upsets if things carry on here. And just in case you couldn't tell, there is indeed a tactical timeout for FURIA. Clearly the coach not too pleased with how things are going. These chaotic round endings are probably more playing, at least in his mind, into the APAC team's favour and saying, let's slow things down a bit here, boys. We're taking quite a long time to get things done. Let's breathe a little bit and go for the execute a little bit earlier ahead of time.
As you say, FURIA there just deciding that maybe it was time to try and put the brakes on, as initially it was playing right into their favour, but the pace of the match as it's gone on just seems to have worked against them, and Cloud9 have been able to just carry that momentum instead. And to be honest, I think after round 4 it was needed for us as well. I can't complain about the tactical timeout. My heart is racing. I think I'm at about 180 BPM at the minute. You know, we needed to slow down.
Al Ajahoon is saying nothing is impossible. Cloud9 win. It could be. The hashtag C9 win, by the way, on Twitter. They even get a little icon with it as well, God bless. But you're right. I want 15 rounds of madness like that. We seem to say it every single map, but it's true. When a game comes up to be this good and this close round to round, you don't want it to end. We'll appreciate the break. Professionally, we should be taking far more care of our voices, but I'll happily scream and shout over these 2 teams, duking it out like absolute juggernauts.
Oh, I'm absolutely willing to make that sacrifice for the community, Des. Now then,
Shotgun galore.
Shotgun galore, you're quite right there. The Pulse Nova bringing along the shotgun as well, so we'll see how that plays out. It's one of those things we won't necessarily know until the late round. If he can keep himself into some CQC engagements, then it may well pay dividends, but if he gets shut down at long distance and challenged, then it will be problematic. Now Fantasy looking to make a clearance across that top floor. Shyle is in place at the minute outside of the meeting door. He's got the deployable shield in hand. Shyle does find the first onto Lender from that position. Just pops up like a deadly jack in the box, takes the kill and gets himself back to safety. So that is another opener for Cloud9. And interestingly, Des, that is the first time so far. In fact, no, it's gone back and forward again. I was just going to say it's the first time that we've had 2 entry kills in 2 rounds go to the same team, but it's not. It was actually Highs that got one last time, so it has gone Cloud9. No, it's gone...
Yeah.
Yes.
C9 Furia, C9 Furia, C9.
Yeah,
back and forth. That's what we love to see. Let's see how this plays out, though, because already Furia are down 2 members. Good start to the round for Cloud9. Super's watching. I'm sure he'll be sitting there hammering his desk right now saying, slow it down, boys. Play it safe. You've got a goddamn Pulse on side, as well as the Valkyrie. You've got so much information to play behind here that there's no reason to keep on going hyper-aggressive. You know from where Fantasy was earlier that he's hanging around front desk and wants to take a couple of challenges here. Just sit back and let him peek on you. That shield, by the way, super nice. Envy getting one onto Fantasy, and I imagine with all that's set up here, there's a few questions to start asking of, okay, well, how do we break this open? We've got rid of the shield, but we're in a 2 versus 5. Can Cloud9 let this one go? Will Furia be able to fight back? Because at this point, nothing feels impossible.
See, I'd argue there. We'll see how this fight goes, but Chael gets the kill there onto Highs. Maybe didn't need to be taking that risk. 50 seconds left to go, 5 versus 2. Shield gone. Could have dipped away, but who am I to criticise when Cloud9 have just come out and got a flawless raid? It really doesn't matter too much at that point in time, but it's those sort of plays that you need to be careful about getting into the habit of.
There's only a certain level to which you can criticise as a caster, because we know full well if we got into a server with any of these boys, they'd rip our scalps off 10 times in a row without us being able to even answer or fire a bullet back. It was a little bit risky, I think, but in his spot, wanted to take that one. You can afford to take some risk when you're so far ahead.
Given the numbers, it's
exactly.
absolutely fine.
In a dream world, if there was someone sat down treating this like a game of chess, Reaper, you'd probably look at this and say, well, we should be playing for the trades here. We've got the numbers advantage, send 2 men, first one dies, second one gets the kill, all things are good. Maybe that's a small area you tighten up, but at this point, you're not going to say no to some crucial kills like that. So, Cloud9 take the lead. 3-2, the last round of the attacking half of Furia. Do you think if both sides walk away at 3-3 here, Ace, they'll be happy?
I think at the minute, yeah, because they'll feel like they've come out of a tornado, Des, and that they're still walking. Because that's
bloody hell, if this has gone flying and I've still got 3 rounds, all right, then sure.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like the cartoon where the room's on fire and it's like, no, this is fine. This is absolutely fine. And I'm sure that's how they'll feel if they come away from it 3-3. It really has been one of those games so far where both teams have had big plays, big moments, and big wins and losses. And we found ourselves with Cloud9 ultimately shaking down with an advantage at the minute, but 1 defensive round left to go. They back down into Garage this time around. We've seen them defend it twice so far today. It's been 50-50. Furia took the opening round down there, but then they were able to lock it down defensively in round number 3. If you remember, it came down to that last second plant attempt from Rare. He was just unable to get into a position where he could put it down. Now, they haven't brought the Tachanka along this time, Des. They've opted just for the soul denial of the smoke this time. They've got a Nitro or 2 in hand as well, the Valkyrie and the Kaid, so those are often used from deep, the long throw to the front of White Van to try and stop that denial, to try and stop that plant going down as well. 30 seconds in. Reasonably slow approach from Furia so far.
Yeah, it's all right. Just trying to gauge out what's going on, get the drones in. I think it was the term that we heard Mello use was architects for a good number of things like the Aruni, the castle, anything that can do with layering multiple walls up, because that's exactly what Cloud9 have gone for here. They've architected a fortress on that garage doorway with the Aruni laser gates, with the Kaid electro claws, and the reinforcements coming through. There's lots to think about. Not much more for Envy as he's been taken out by Lender about 55 seconds into the round.
I'm always cautious about calling them because we've got the outlines, and I'm like, you can see him. I'm sure you can see him.
I love how you stared at the screen, looked up at me in confusion, and looked back at the screen. I was like, yes, Ace, he's died.
Lender, shoot him, you can see him. But it's sometimes we can see the outlines, and sometimes it's just how the pixels form, and they're not actually visible. But there we go. Lender gets the opener regardless. That's going to be Envy Taylor off the board, and that's a big kill for Furia, Des. We know how effective Envy Taylor can be here on Consulate. 4 kills so far. He's up there with the top of his team. There's only Shaol and Static ahead of him by 1 kill each, so it is a big opening pick for Furia to take. 1 minute 30. I think we've just heard an explosion, which may signal the garage door being opened.
Yep.
We'll get a better look at that, I'm sure. Thank you very much. We've got the Aruni Surya Gate just blocking access.
No, what's the real name?
The Surya Gate will prevent them from just walking straight in there, Des. And they're going to have to use
They're losing it on the B stream over something.
There's something going on. They're going to have to use some throwables. There we go. They actually use an Ashbridge. There we go, Shaol with a big jump out on to Rhea. Now then, you've got to ask the question, Des, where are the air jabs? Why was that not prevented?
It's always a question, and some teams even double layer up for air jabs there, because some teams, like we've seen in Europe, I think back to Rogue actually, as a team that will send 2 players jumping out of meeting. The first one gets air jabbed, the second can take the direct firefight, and it can come into your favor massively there. Just didn't expect to have Charl on the roam that much. And I spoke about this earlier on, some criticism levied towards Empire for not clearing out the top floor when attacking downstairs. The exact same thing has just happened to Furia, because they've been so focused. What a great grenade coming out from Highs. Down goes Nova, sat a little bit deeper back, and with the C4 in hand, I think he was looking to save that for when the plant comes in, as it's doing right now.
Has just showing exactly why Piano is a power play position. Lender gets in, tries to get the kill onto Harper, doesn't manage, but drops the diffuser in no man's land. More importantly, Fantasy, however, mops up and gets the kill, picks up the diffuser and starts putting it on the ground. That will extend the timer, but not needed, as Highs, he goes in and shuts down the final man from Piano. And Furia, they lock it out 3-3 on the half. And what a game we have got here on the A-stream.
Whew, it sounds like in one round it all went off. Here it went off a little bit, B-stream went off a little bit as we heard Fluke and Hap screaming at the top of their voices. It's always going off in games like these, and it is wonderful to see another ridiculously close dying seconds execute coming out of Furia. Not exactly marred with mistakes, or free of mistakes I should say. It was marred by issues with the down coming in, the further back kill coming in at the same time, but it ended up in the 3 versus 1. 3-3 at the half. Not a bad outcome, I'd say, for either side. It's going to be so hard to call which way this game goes, Ace, I think. It has been so entertaining from round 1 to round 6. Give me another 6 rounds of that and then 3 more.
I'm not sure I can take it, Des.
Oh, yes you can. Yes you can.
Of course I can. It's what I was absolutely born for, Des. This is what I live for at games like this. Absolutely love them. But so, we are heading into our second half. As we've seen 6 rounds, the teams will swap over. So Furia will be the defensive side for potentially the next 6 rounds. We will see how it goes. If they manage to get themselves an advantage in terms of the score, they need to get themselves to 7. We're playing best of 12. If it finishes at 6-all, we will head into overtime, which will be best of 3 rounds. And then we'll worry about who's defending and attacking at the time when we get there. But for now, Furia, they're going to want to lock it down before it gets to that stage. Now, the downstairs in Garage and Cafeteria this time, Des, I've already commented on Archives and Tellers for Furia. It is a good defensive site from them, and it is one that tends to be a little bit more LATAM focused. It's probably the region that we see play that site I think the most realistically. Preston Lobby tends to be popular elsewhere, so that could for me be a little bit of a linchpin here in the rest of this game if Furia choose to go there.
I imagine they will, just not as their first site choice.
No,
right?
no,
especially if, you know, if Cloud9 are sitting here doing the same analysis that you are and going, oh, we know that's a real hot site of theirs, maybe you anticipate it's going to be the first one they go to and you change your lineup to match. C4 comes sailing out of the CEO window, I think, hoping to catch Harper or someone else who would have been on the near rappel, but no one was up there watching at the time. Fortunate for Cloud9, slightly unfortunate for Furia, but no harm, no foul.
Lender just trying to pressure onto that yellow stairs window for the time being on the Valkyrie. He may or may not have some information being fed into him at this point. Shiol, he's going to get his drone in and will find that information. The fact that the Valkyrie is playing on the stairs. Now he's going to dip away for the time being. Time wasted. That's not the end of the world. We're a minute gone. And that is the primary function of the roamers, of course, on this sort of hold, is to get that time taken up. But Envy, he will start things off with the kill onto Lender. So we sort of continue on with these opening kills trading from side to side, and right now Cloud9 are doing a good job of getting into that top floor. They've got themselves established, but they are going to have to move Rare out of the bathroom. They can't take Piano and start the vertical pressure onto site without dealing with him first.
I'm just looking at his HP here and thinking you could blow on him and he'd fall over and die. Like, get a Zofia nearby, get Shiol nearby on his main namesake operator, the Zofia, the one that he's well known for. Interesting fact, once got banned away against him in APAC, Pip Batbeard got 9 kills in 3 rounds. You can't stop the guy no matter what you give him, so just let him play on the Zofia seems to be the go-to answer. But yes, for Cloud9, they're doing the right thing. They're clearing the top floor and working their way down. We saw Charl making good use of Furia, not always doing that in the first half, and came back to bite them a couple of times with his jump outs onto the Thermite, for example. Fortunately for Furia, still managed to convert it into a round win. But let's keep a close eye and see if any Furia members can get on a late round flank and make some damage happen. Still got to deal with Rare, mind you, who's standing inside of the bathroom.
Rare's in an interesting position at the minute. As you say, he's such low health that he's unlikely to get aggressive here, Des. And Cloud9, if they choose to, they've got a man advantage. They could just lock him inside a bathroom effectively and just hold it down, as Static is doing, and just try to push in through that garage door. Now, Fantasy finds one onto Nova, but Harper is in a position to put the diffuser down. So right now, Rare is not too much of a problem. Shio does not get the kill, though, as a double comes in for Highs and Miracle. Kills raining in all over the map. There's 2 versus 1. It's Furia on top as it shakes down. The diffuser's down cold, and Static's got 5 seconds to do something about it. Unlikely, as they know his position. He's trying to move through a Banshee. It's screaming in his ears, Des, and he can't get past Furia. They close down their first defensive round. That is the garage on lock, and that is going to be advantage to the Brazilians.
All that work done by Miracle. You maybe wager a slight mistake being done by Cloud9 to inhaling a health bar and a half's worth of smoke gas. Man, I don't know. It's uncomfortable. You're sat there trying to go for a plant. You're choking on the smoke the whole time round, and there's very little you can do off the back of that except push through in some cases to try and make kills happen. They tried to plant through it. They had Envy try and push through it. They had them eating themselves a face full of Banshee towards the end of it as well. Really, really good holdout, I think, but Cloud9 almost doing that damage to themselves, I think. I think the IQ maybe not quite registering that she was still within the gas range.
Come back to that same point again, Des, as well. Envy Taylor getting the opening kill. Cloud9 failing to close out the round, and it is continuing to hurt them regardless of the strength of their entry stats. They're just not managing to convert them to rounds on the board, which ultimately is the only thing that matters. That is what goes in the history books at the end of the day, is the winner of the map. So, heading into round at number 8, Furia are 4-3 up. I don't think they're going to be feeling too secure, Des. I know they're definitely going to think...
It's tight.
That's it. They know that they've got a game on their hands. They know that they've got work to do. They're going to be heading up to Console. Now, this, for me, Des, is a really key round coming up here. Furia are 4-3. They're going up to Console and Meeting, which is their secondary site choice. But they've got a very solid Archives and Tellers defence that they've been good at previously to back them up then, potentially, for their third site. So, if they can get the win here, it puts them 5-3. It gives them a little bit of breathing room. It gives them that space on the scoreboard, but they also know that they can feel pretty confident about their tertiary site to lock it down and get that 6th round on the board and give them the map opportunity for match point. So for me, this is a key round now.
Big smart pick as well across to the IQ. With the Yokai stepping in, of course they aren't invisible anymore, but still highly frustrating. A lot of teams leaving them at ground level, hiding them under some strange piece of furniture and bringing them out later into the round to, do what Yokais do best, interrupt plants, ruin lives, create many an unfortunate moment on the R6 Events Twitter account, as we've seen on there many times throughout the season. I'll be keeping a close eye on Lender and seeing what he's doing, and also on Harper as to whether or not he can track these down early and help his team take them out before the execute comes through. Because I know we've said it an awful lot, but every single round is coming down to these dying few seconds. We're running out of time. There's a plant going down. A plant is narrowly being missed. Very rarely are these rounds actually ending in kills well before the 30-second remaining mark.
Highs sat on 11-2 at the minute. Inside of 7 rounds, he has only died twice. I can tell you as well that his cost rating at the minute, along with Miracle Des, both of them on 86%. So anybody wondering what cost means, what am I on about? It's an acronym standing for Kills, Objectives, Survive and Trade. And basically what we're talking about there is within any round, do you get a kill? Do you play the objective, i.e. put the diffuser on the ground? Do you survive that round? Or if you do die, is your death traded within the next 5 or so seconds? If any one of those is true, then we would count that as a successful round for cost. And so when I say they've got an 86% cost rate, and it means in 86% of the rounds so far, they've achieved at least one, if not more, of
they've
those
contributed
team
positively.
actions. Exactly. Yeah. And so Miracle and Highs are just so consistent throughout this. To put that into perspective for you, when we look at Cloud9, 4 out of their 5 players are on 57%. So it's only really every other round that they are having one of those positive impacts.
It's interesting because for Cloud9 it's scattered across the whole team, 57 to 71%, but as you mentioned, the highs of 86%, but also the lows of Rare being on 14% at the minute. There is a big up and down difference between those members at the minute, which kind of shows what you come to expect from a lot of teams is that some days some players have amazing games, other days some don't, and that's kind of where Furia are at right now. For Cloud9, they need that hero to step up, the one who's going to make the difference for them when all the chips are down on the table, because right now in these late round situations, It's a little bit too even for my liking, especially for Cloud9's liking. They need to get more going for them in the dying moments. Shyle going to start things off onto Rare. That's going to see his cost, by the way, drop even lower now towards that 10% mark.
Not a good start for him. Shyle gets the kill and gets established on the yellow stairs. Lender does manage to get himself one onto Nova, and there's a lot of pressure coming from Cloud9 on those console windows. So they're looking for a pretty route one approach here, really, we would call it. You get yourselves onto the rappel, and you just look to go straight in through the single windows and plant in behind that B-bomb. Or sometimes they'll run to approach the reinforced wall opposite between them and the connect. Now, what a kill from Lender. That is just absolutely fantastic game sense there. Getting that headshot onto Invitational, up from behind the shield, gets the kill and back down to safety now. Static got himself established inside the bathroom. FURIA have got their number, Des. They've got them all over the map right now. Fantasy gets a kill onto the yellow stairs door, and it's 4 versus 2, and this one is slipping away from Cloud9 right before our eyes.
This is a textbook Cloud9 round where they get the opening kill. The next 3 deaths all come their way without a single bullet being returned back in response. Envy was killed at long range. You saw a second ago Harper bursting in. How on earth has Lender got away with that one onto Shyle? Oh, you can feel it starting to melt away from the APAT team because, like you say, Ace, it's going to be 5 and 3, and FURIA has still got that split site defense available if they want it, which you would imagine they could walk away with. 5-3. Cloud9 going to be panicking a little bit now, I imagine, as these rounds, despite the entry kills going their way, are just not falling on their favour.
So FURIA win what I thought was a very important round, getting themselves some breathing space now on the scoreboard. 5-3, and this will certainly feel like their opportunity. They're actually going to take us to press and lobby, which is very interesting, Des, because, as I say, through the regular season, at least through stage 1, we didn't see them play press and lobby at all. We didn't see them play an awful lot of archives and tellers. They did play it and win it, and they did well there. But think about this. There's going to be very limited information for Cloud9 here as to exactly what FURIA are going to do here with press and lobby. So I've no real problem with this. This is a good opportunity for them to actually throw a little spanner in the works and say, you know what, you really need this round at this point in time, so you can come into it blindfolded.
Well, as you saw there for a second, there was a few messages in chat around not being able to pick the desired operator. I believe you got auto-selected onto Amaru. I've seen a few teams make use of the Amaru, but I imagine it's not quite in C9's wheelhouse at this point. So to make sure they do have the option of that 6th pick across the whole team, we will get that lobby re-hosted up. However, with these first 2 rounds going the way, pretty convincingly of FURIA, I'd say, you start asking questions for Cloud9. Where are these wins going to come from, Ace?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it, really? The thing is, it feels like it's snowballing, Des. It feels like it's snowballing to me. Cloud9 coming in, and each round just feels to get a little bit worse. They seem a little bit further away from that successful, round sort of clinching moment. They came in there, got one opener, lost 3 kills pretty much immediately. It's just slipping further and further out of grasp for them.
It is. Well, the players are stacking back into lobby, so a couple of seconds and we should be getting back underway with the action. Again, questions to ask, I think, for Cloud9, where with APAC all of this week, well, first play day, we sat here and said, I don't know, they look so far behind. We've had a bit of a resurgence earlier on today, and this would really put the cherry on the cake for them if they could walk away with a win against FURIA. But FURIA are showing after the last result they had, that loss not too long ago, that it isn't all doom and gloom, that they can bounce back. And this is what I've missed so much over the last 15 months, Ace, is these international storylines of when you get different teams of different forms running different styles of play, just all come crashing together. It's so exhilarating to watch.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I'm just having a quick look back at the G2 game, obviously very relevant given that it was on Consulate just a couple of days ago, and I'm looking at FURIA's defences and they only had 1 in press and lobby, so that is literally the sum total of information for Cloud9 to go on at this point pretty much, and it's really not going to, like my good friend Jackie would say, Des, it's like an abandoned fairground, they've not got much to go on, and that is going to be the case, and it's just not the point point in time that you want it. You want to know what you're coming into when it's such a must-win round. FURIA going to put themselves onto match point if they can close this one down. But what are we likely to see here in Press and Lobby? FURIA, they will be looking to keep vertical control. They want to keep hold of Meeting in particular. The LATAM teams do tend to like to do that from deep sometimes. So rather than having a man right up in admin and one in Meeting and trying to keep hold of that side of the map, sometimes they'll dip them back quite early and sort of play out of console, play out of connector, out of bathroom, and just basically have a presence there, because the attackers know that they can't start getting in there and focusing on that vertical pressure until they've cleared them out, because they're just going to get hit on the flank. They're just going to move across the top of the map and get the kills anyway. So we'll see how FURIA decide to set up. They may well go for a more aggressive approach and set themselves right up in the faces of where the Cloud9 attack is likely to come from. But Cloud9 could throw a curveball. They could come in for the garage take. They could come underneath and try and work up from there. But more often than not, it is about the top floor.
I like the little kind of bounce we've got here between the IQ and the Echo picks as well. You saw them both being hovered for a second in the pregame, and then both 6 picked away. One going from the Echo onto the Malusi in the case of Lender, and Harper changing away from the IQ onto the Dakabi instead. That one will be an interesting one, because I don't really feel that being caught out on random corners or in random isolated locations has really been Cloud9's issue so far. A lot of it has just come down to these longer range shots that they're just not aware of, or jumping into a building and being shot for halfway across the map because they didn't have drones in that area of the building. So I'm not too sure how much work this is going to do for them. I hope they've got something in mind. Let's keep a close eye on it and see what the use case is going to be. But for Cloud9, something is for sure. They need to make this work. Elsure sat at 6-3 and got a lot of work to do, and already almost being tagged out by Fantasy.
And this is the problem now. FURIA are starting to play with a little bit more confidence. There's those windows knocked out, ready for peaks, happy to take a shot. Shio was aware of the danger, but still taking some damage. Now, how about that? Static catches Fantasy out, and we need Cloud9 Des to lock this down. We need them to follow that up now. They've got the entry kill. We need them to have that better performance throughout the round. Shio, he's ready for the repeat there, but given that Fantasy is dead, it is unlikely to come, because that was the man that was challenging him. Now, Rare, he is established inside of Meeting. As I suggested, he's going to be an important piece of the FURIA defense here, and we've got Lender over in connector as well. So, as I suggested, just playing a little bit deeper, sort of happy to allow Cloud9 into admin, but then the battle line is drawn and they shall go no further.
I'm just so nervous that if they don't now translate this into a win, it's going to be a huge problem. They've had the opening kill in the last 3 rounds. This round plus the previous 2. Every single attacking round, Cloud9 has found the opening, and here, I'm just glad to not see Nova, for example, getting picked off 10 seconds after finding the opening. They've actually balanced things out a little bit, starting to play behind the utility. You can hear them starting to stack up. Rare, looking a little bit skittish, a little bit panicked as 2 drones fly in front of his face. Doesn't get the second one, but you can see where the pressure is coming in, and I imagine he's screaming to his team, I need a bit of help here. There's 2 or 3 starting to gather on me, and Shile playing the safe game, hanging a little bit further up. There's the return kill back onto Static.
This is Rare's moment. He's had a quiet game so far, but he manages to get himself a kill. Takes Static down 4 versus 4, but he is going to be forced out of Meeting. Des, with 1 minute still left to go, there is plenty of time for Cloud9 here. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Lender, who was playing in that connector room. I think he's actually been... No, he's still
hovering front desk, yeah.
He's still there, and he is in a position in bathroom. As I said, the LATAM teams will do this. They'll just drop a little bit deeper and look to still challenge across that top floor in the late round. Now, Lender's actually going to dip away and just keep himself fighting, but Rare has moved back up. 30 seconds left to go, and there could be a really late vertical flank coming in from FURIA here, Des.
That's what makes me nervous. You're looking at the spot where we're only just starting to see the smokes come flying out. There's still 2 in the back pocket, and we're down to 20 seconds. This is going to be painful for Cloud9. Got to make the play happen. Right, ideally charge through and find the smoke, else everything is coming down to the final 5 seconds. But like pointed out here so clearly by our observer, as C4 can come singing through this hatch, and it's going to be round over. There we go, takes the position. C4 comes out the top it goes. It is like taking candy from a baby for FURIA. And as if anyone needs to give Super any further validation, what he's saying is coming to light absolutely. 3 rounds in a row, the opening kill. Not a single victory for Cloud9.
And that's the problem right now. I mean, great plays from Fury. I've got to give Rare a shout there. You know, he's not the top of the board in terms of kills. He's been doing the support work that we would expect from him, but that was a great round. He got his 1 kill. He wasted 2 minutes up on the top floor before dropping away from meeting and absorbed significant pressure, drone resource and utility, dropped himself back to safety, rotated all the way back round up to the top of yellow stairs, which enabled Lender to drop down to the bottom floor into the basement. It was Lender who had the nitro in hand and was in that position to potentially try for that explosive denial of a plant going down. So it was just great team interplay from Furia, just rotating players around, and that was all facilitated by the fact that Rare kept himself alive and made a smart decision to drop when he did, knowing that he'd wasted enough time at that point.
For the stat fanatics among you, it's worth noting that Rare now currently sits at 4-7, as well as bounced back from the very weak start that he's had. In fact, the whole team's starting to pick things up a little bit, but Highs is loving life right now at 12-2, 2-0 on the entry with the 90% cost. He is doing fantastically well, as is Miracle. I wish we could say the same about the same of Cloud9. We've seen them start well. Again, to go back to Super, I hope you appreciate how many shout-outs you're getting here, by the way, buddy. But he's absolutely right. The entries are coming through in abundance for them, and it's observed by Medics, just to point that one out, because I forgot earlier on. With how things are going, they're finding the entries, but converting it into a win is proving to be a massive problem. Leaving things until the late round, it's exactly what Furia did in their attacking half. It feels like for both teams there's a bit of a stall out. Look again. Oh, okay, they're going to lose this round then, because they've just found the entry, Tim.
Fantasy once again trying the peak, and Shio, he took a little bit of damage this time as well as last, but this time he took the man with him, and Fantasy very, very quiet so far today. He's really struggled to get into his rhythm, struggled to really have too much of an impact. It hasn't really mattered for Furia. They've been able to work around it, and losing your Jaeger is not always the end of the world. You expect them to be making those early round challenges. The ADSs are already placed, his utility is gone. They're not relying on him throughout the late round, and when Cloud9 are unable to back it up and win with man advantage again, it's not really the end of the world. You start feeling that confidence in the early round to think, you know what, let's take a peek. If we lose it, so what? We'll probably still go on to win the round. But right now, Cloud9, they are moving to clear out that top floor. They're looking to make sure that they are comfortably in control of the map. They will no doubt try to take Piano as they did previously. Static it was last time that was playing in there. Miracle, he's going to take a little shot up to the top of the spiral stairs there. Won't do any damage, but it's again just letting Cloud9 know, Des, that they're not going to have anything for free here. They are being challenged every step of the way.
And that's the right way to play it. You know Cloud9 are going to play this methodically and clear out all 3 floors of the map. You may as well... Oh, Shile. Can you see the man? Oh, a few narrow pixels away. Oh, he sees his feet again. You're not going to get a chance like that one again now. You've had a couple of shots, Shile. Unfortunate, but Rare going to be all the more aware of what's going on around him. And once again, he's dug into the bathroom, so now Cloud9 know that they need to chase him out of this room.
Static again, just trying to play and ignore Rare for the time being. He's focusing more on enabling his team to get that garage door open. Nova is down there, diffuser in hand. He's going to get that exothermic charge onto the wall there, and he will be ready to follow it in, no doubt. Thermite now having those smoke grenades as well. How about that from Static? Great kill onto Rare as the man drops bathroom and tries to get himself back onto site. The Ash takes full advantage of that and then moves in to try and apply some pressure from the hatch. That is really decisive play from Static.
Alrighty, 5 versus 3. It's the greatest advantage you guys are going to find yourself in all game long, but you've got 30 seconds to play with Highs onto Envy as he comes pushing up towards Visa. 25 seconds to play with, a lot of time to work with, you'd say, but I think once you find those smokes start coming out, as they already have, that time starts going down to 0. 5 versus 3, cut down to a 3 versus 3. I'm already feeling nervous here, Tim. They've got to make the plan happen.
Highs is coming down yellow stairs potentially here. He's not going to move quick enough. There's Nova. Is he gonna? No!